This is a Stipple Wild video, so if you don't have Stipple Wild, you will not be able to do this. All right, I'm going to explain how I got this eye wobble illusion. I'm going to call it an eye wobble illusion. Um, if you've got a better name for it, you can leave it in the comments. You know, like and subscribe, man. All right, so by eye wobble, what I mean is when I look at this image right here, my eyes kind of shift focus as I move them up and down throughout the image, and they kind of want to follow the wave pattern, but there's also this other image inside of it. Um, we've got Jim Morrison right here, and now when I go up and down, when I scroll up and down, the the dots seem to follow this wave, especially in the parts of my eye that aren't completely focused. You know, like not exactly what I'm looking at, but in the corners of my eye, it's as if the dots kind of go up and down, and it doesn't have to just be black and white. Okay, so I'm gonna launch Stipple Wild. Um, I'm gonna get this guy. Where is he? Um, for my dots, I'm gonna put my dot at black. I'll leave it at black. And then for the background, I'm going to pick a medium gray. I'll leave everything else the same and start drawing. And right away, I'm going to go to my brush and dot menu, and I'm going to put that at about. I'm going to put that a little over. What's important is to not have the smallest dot at 0. It doesn't. You can still do it if the smallest dot's 0, but for this, I'm gonna kick it up a little bit, and then I'm gonna leave my max dot at default. Then I'm gonna go to the grid menu, and I'm gonna put this at pix gap, and I'll leave match X for the row distribution. I'm gonna put in an 8 over here, and I'm gonna put in for my X wave, I'm gonna put in number of, Y wave number of, I'm gonna put in 8, and I'm gonna put in 4. So my input for X is 8 and my input for Y is 4. And then amplitude, I'll put them both at 60. Um, Now, one thing to note is that depending on how big your screen is, these settings could change. Um, for instance, an 8 pixel gap might be too small on your device if you're using something that's higher res. This is a 720 wide. If you have something like a 1440, you might want to double this amount. And for the waves, number of should keep it pretty much uniform throughout devices, but the amplitude is still dependent on your pixel size. So you might have to turn your amplitude up on a higher res screen. Um, but you can figure that out on your own. All right. So I'm gonna hit the fill button, and then I'm gonna hide my background image. And we can already see that this effect is working. It's already wobbling in my vision. So for the next step of this, I'm gonna put the column offset at 4, and again, now this is dependent on what you've used for your pix gap over here. 4 is half of 8, so the dots that it's going to lay down next are going to be in between the original dots we laid down. I'm going to go over to my color menu. I'm going to pick white, and I'm going to go to the levels menu, and I'm going to invert by clicking the invert button, and so white is on the right of this. Now I'm going to go and hit fill again, and there we go. We got the illusion. Um, there are, let's see what time it is. About we're 4 minutes in. I think we can keep going. So you could do this. I'm gonna just go ahead and trash this. Uh, you could use, so say let's use like a dark blue for, and go over here and put this on dark, and then we'll hit fill, and then let's put this at 0. Basically, we're just, if you have 8 pixel gap and you offset by 4, you're in the middle. And we were just offset by 4 just because that's what our last setting was. So now I'm going to put it back to 0. Um, and then I'm going to use a brighter orange color and flip this so white is on the right and hit fill again. And now we're doing the same thing. We're just using colors. I don't think it's quite as pronounced. Actually, maybe it is. Uh, I don't know if it's quite as pronounced as when you use black and white. Um, like color might not be have quite as much contrast, but it also kind of gives you a different look. Somewhat more interesting. And then we can always pick a different background, something like that. That's pretty cool. Um, anyway, if you've watched the way in the archive, there's the video on like shadow highlight. I think it's called like three-tone drawing, where you use a neutral background color and then you draw the highlights in white, or the highlights in a light color, and then the shadows in with a dark color. Same principle applies if you want to have something that's more recognizable. Just use a setup like that. And as I said, some of your settings are going to vary. If you're using a higher res screen, I'd say go with a higher column input, like put that at maybe 12, maybe 16, and then maybe increase your amplitude somewhere between 60 and 120, let's say. Um, and yeah, if you come up with something cool, let me see it. Thanks for using Stipple. Thanks for watching the video. Um, if you want Stipple Wild, just ask. Shoot me an email. All right. Thanks a lot.